Hello and good evening, everyone. I am architect Nishtha Joshi from THiNC Institute of Design. I'm a conservation architect. I work with heritage monuments. You have met me many times before in this section where we do different topics, where we discuss different topics live with you. These topics are related to architecture, competitive exams that are JEE Paper 2 and NATA. So in every live session, we discuss some or the other new topic with you. Now, I bring my expertise as I am myself an alumnus of SPA Bhopal. I have cleared these exams before, and every time when we come and we meet in this class, we discuss some or the other new topic which is related to the syllabus of these two very important competitive exams that are JEE Paper 2 and NATA. Today also we have brought one such topic with you. Before starting with today's topic, I would like to tell you a little bit about our online session. At THiNC Institute of Design, we teach you various courses related to different design exams. Right now, our online crash batch is going on for JEE Paper 2 especially. We help you prepare for your architecture competitive exams. If you're interested in this, please contact on the number given on your screen. This number will also be later on available in the chat box so that you can copy it from there and contact us. The important topic that we will be discussing in today's live session is called architectural styles. Architectural style is a very vast topic. There is not a single style or a set of styles that we can study from. This is a very huge topic. There are different styles that can be seen around the world. Like there were a specific set of styles that could be seen in the architecture in the Indian subcontinent. There were certain styles that we could see in the Western world. There were certain styles that we could see in America. So how do you contain this particular topic? How do you prepare for it, and how do you prepare yourself to answer the questions that will come in the exam? Because this is a very important topic, and every year some or the other question comes in the exam related to architectural style, both in JEE Paper 2 and in NATA. So today we will decipher this topic. We will break it down on how you can prepare for it, how you can contain this very vast topic, and how can you prepare for it effectively so that you can answer the questions that come in the exam related to this one. So first of all, before we start with this topic, we need to understand briefly that there has been a lot of evolution in the field of architecture. When early man began living their lives, they used to live in caves. Then later on, they started making huts. How did we reach from those simple wood and stone huts to where we are right now in the contemporary world? Today, whatever we see, whatever we follow in our world in the field of architecture is known as contemporary style of architecture. And this is a style that can be witnessed around the world commonly. This is ever changing and ever evolving. But how did we reach from there to here? This entire journey of evolution gives us the different architectural styles. As time evolved, as time moved ahead, we have seen different styles in the field of architecture, and these evolved because new advancement and technology was coming in, human brain was developing, our needs were expanding, and of course when we were meeting our basic needs, we always wanted to try something new, we always wanted to do something better. So this is just a very rough large overview of different types of architectural styles that we have seen. First of all, when settlements began, when habitation began, there were some ancient civilizations. These ancient civilizations include the Mesopotamian civilization, the Indus Valley civilization, Egyptian civilization, ancient Chinese civilization, ancient Japanese civilization, and so many others are there. In each of these civilizations, we have seen very unique forms of architecture and very different types of buildings. We can know about these buildings through the excavations that we have done time and again. From some of these civilizations, we can even find structures that are still standing. For example, the pyramids at Giza, which are a part of the Egyptian civilization. After the end of the old world and after the end of these civilizations, some new kingdoms started coming in. Each of these kingdoms had their own unique style of architecture, their own characteristics, their own features in the field of architecture. The first one out of these was ancient Greece. So in ancient Greece, we saw some new type of architecture which was based on proportions. Of course, the orders that were there in the Greek civilization are very famous. There were three major orders in Greek architecture. They were the Doric order, the Ionic order, and the Corinthian order. Greek mythology was also very rich. So we can see a lot of temples that were constructed in this era. Apart from temples, we can also see social structures that were made in this time, and water-related structures, water-related architecture was also there. There were amphitheaters and theaters in the Greek civilization. One of the most famous temples of the Greek period of the Greek architecture is the Parthenon, the ruins of which we can still found in Athens in Greece, which is still the capital city. Then, after the ancient Greek civilization was the Roman civilization, the Roman Empire. Romans captured the same land in which the Greeks were living, and hence their architecture was greatly influenced by the Greeks. They used the first three orders that were introduced by Greeks, that were Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, and they introduced their own new orders, two new orders, namely Tuscan and Composite order. The most famous temple that we can find from Roman Empire is the Pantheon in Rome. It was this building which had many arches, and the first dome, the step dome that we can find in this on top of this circular building. This is a temple dedicated to all gods. Apart from this, the Colosseum, which is one of the first ever advanced stadiums of that time, a theater of that time, can also be found in the Roman Empire itself. Apart from Colosseum as well, there were many theaters and amphitheaters, then water structures like aqueducts in the Roman Empire. Then the Middle Ages came. Middle Ages are also known as medieval times, medieval ages. The most famous style of this time was the Gothic architecture, the Gothic architectural style. Then came Renaissance. Renaissance was one step ahead of Gothic architecture. Here, the features changed. Many different types of arches and domes were being experimented with. Gothic architecture had very sharp features in terms of the windows that were there, the long slit windows, the buttresses that were there, the spires on top of turrets. But when we look at the features of Renaissance architecture, the features are more soft. The structures are much more ornamented. There is a lot more decoration, paintings, many more sculptures and iconography. Many domes, curves, soft edges can be seen in Renaissance architecture. After this, the Baroque architectural style came in the Western world. Baroque architecture was all about drama, effective use of light, shade, and shadow. This was also a time where a lot of important things, major events, war, plague, famine, etc., were going on in the world. So we could see the plight of the people, the strong feelings and emotions of the people in the art and architecture of this time. After the Baroque style of architecture, Romanticism came. Romanticism was a movement in both art and architecture. This was about the patriotic movement. Unlike what we think Romanticism is about, it was more about love for the nation, patriotism. This was also a time when major wars were breaking out and people were fighting and giving up their lives for the love of their nation. So this was a time where these strong values of patriotism were portrayed through art and design. Then after that, by the 18th century, later 18th century, and full-fledged in the beginning of the 19th century, the industrial revolution had happened by this time. This was a time when the modern style of architecture flourished. This modern style of architecture was called modern because many new materials had been introduced in the construction industry because of the industrial revolution. Now there was big machinery, there were industries which were producing these machines, tools, and many new materials. For example, iron bars, steel, many different types of metallic alloys, glass in abundance, cement, all the ingredients for making a new type of concrete, and so much more. All these materials gave rise to a new style of architecture, because using these materials now are making larger structures, most importantly, taller structures. High-rise buildings and skyscrapers now came into existence. So this modern style was much more about experimenting with these new materials and new construction techniques using the machinery that we had got from Industrial Revolution. But we do not see so much experimentation in form. So this was just a brief of how time evolved, how architecture evolved, and these are just some of the major styles that we could see around the world. Globally, we could see these styles. But what exactly uh, is architectural style? What do you mean by an architectural style? An architectural style can be characterized by certain features. The features that make a building or other structure notable or historically identifiable are defining the architectural style here. Now, what are these features or what are these elements? Here, two terms are also used: building or other structure. Because here we are not just talking about a building block, a single building. Here we're also talking about all the different structures that can be constructed in architecture, like bridges, like aqueducts, like dams, and so much more. So, every structure has some style, it has some unique features that relate it to a particular period of time, or a particular event of history. All of these things combine to tell us what the architectural style is of a particular structure or building. Now, some of these features include elements such as form means the shape or how the structure looks from outside. Then second is method of construction. What were the construction techniques or methods that were used in making a particular building? Then of course, building material is very important, because clearly the world of architecture is divided into two major eras: before Industrial Revolution and after Industrial Revolution. Because how we perceived our buildings, how we constructed them, what kind of materials we used vastly changed before and after this revolution. And then lastly, the regional character. Whether a building is being constructed in Europe, in any of the countries, be it Italy or be it France or be it UK, or it is being constructed in the America, or it is being constructed in India or the Indian subcontinent, the regional variation can be seen. So modern style of architecture can also be seen in India post-independence. Of course, before 1947, we were not experimenting so much with architecture. But once we got our independence, there were certain architects in India. For example, Achyut Kanvinde, then Sir Le Corbusier came to India after independence. So these were some architects who were propagating the modern style of architecture in India, although much later from the entire world. But we see a lot of regional variation in the Indian adaptation of modern style of architecture. So that always happens. The local factors, the climate, the architecture from the past in any region, all of these play a major role in what we are perceiving the new style as in the particular region. So these are some of the features that define the architectural style of any place. Now, what are these some of these major architectural styles? So I just have a big list to show you. These are just some names of different architectural styles that you can study or read about. You just need to read about the features of each of these architectural styles. Then if you can find any examples of buildings related to these style, then that helps you in preparing nicely. For example, if you look at the first column itself, the second one, Art Deco, is actually a very famous movement of art, and it led to a unique style of architecture. So if you study about Art Deco, if you study about the features and characteristics of this particular style, and then the buildings that were made in this time, you will look at some examples of buildings and then who were the architects. This not only helps you in preparing for architectural style, but it also helps you in preparing for another topic, which is famous architects. It helps in preparing for a third topic, which is famous buildings, because so many questions come in the exams every year which are related to some famous structure, which are related to some famous architect. And of course, architectural styles is an independent topic as well. So the beauty of studying this is that you not only prepare one topic, but you prepare multiple topics at the same time. Now, these styles can be confusing. I completely agree to that. Art Deco, Art Nouveau, when you, even the names can be a bit confusing, the features can be a bit confusing, but if you keep on practicing, And if you keep on revising, if you learn about the time period in which these styles were there, if you learn about the famous architects, you can relate and then you can understand that each of them are different. They can be inspired from one another. That is a possibility. That one style can be inspired from the previous style that was there before it. So these are some famous ones actually. Art Deco, Art Nouveau, Baroque. We just talked about Baroque in the previous slide. Then after Baroque, there was another style known as Rococo. You can also study about that. Then Bauhaus written here in the first column. The last one is Bauhaus. Bauhaus was actually a movement that started in Germany. Some architects, a group of architects got together and they thought that there should be rules and regulations. There should be some basic principles that need to be followed in the field of architecture. Because before this time, architecture was very abstract. This was around the 18th, 19th century again. So these architects thought that there should be some basic standards and we all need to follow that. More and more people, more and more architects started agreeing to their idea. They started joining this movement, which led to a new style of architecture, which was following the ideals set by these master architects in this movement. Later on, it came to be known as the Bauhaus movement. They also made their own school in Germany, known as the Bauhaus Dessau, where they were teaching art and architecture through a new spectacle. So that was Bauhaus movement. And later on, following these principles, many structures were constructed, which are a part of this style. Then there's classicism. Classical architecture comprises of two major styles, that is Greek and Roman architecture. So that is Greek and Roman architectural period is known as the classical period of architecture. So that's that. Then there's constructivism, there's cubism. Cubism is actually inspired a lot by the paintings of Pablo Picasso. He was the one who experimented a lot with cubism in his paintings, which later on became an inspiration for architecture as well. And this we will find throughout history that art and architecture have gone hand in hand. They have inspired each other, and similar features can be seen in each other. Then, expressionism is another important one. There's digital art, there's futurism, then there's Renaissance, there's neoclassicism. So, neoclassicism was a new approach to classical architecture, meaning new ideas were incorporated to classical architectural styles that were Greek and Roman. This happened in the 20th century. From time and again, people have always thought that whatever was there in the old world was better, and we try to revive the old things. So, some similar thing was happening in neoclassicism as well. Then, neo-impressionism is important. Minimalism is important for you all to study. Maya Lin is actually one of those architects who was a pioneer of minimalism. Then pop art. These are some famous styles. Impressionism, post-impressionism, symbolism. You need to study all of this. Now, I'll just give you a small example on how you can study each style. I'll take the most common one, which is modernism, as an example. So first try to understand what do you mean by modernism? What are the basic characteristics? What is the time period? And what are the major things, major features of this particular style? So modernism is a philosophical movement that, along with cultural trends and changes, arose from wide-scale and far-reaching transformations in Western society in the late 19th and early 20th century. The term is often applied to a modernist movement at the turn of the beginning of 20th century. Now, you can also see some examples on your screen. I have put pictures of three major buildings of this particular style. Can you identify which are the three buildings? I am sure that if you're preparing for the exams, by now you should be knowing about these buildings. Please write the names of all these three buildings, the first, second, and third one in the chat box. I'll see to your answer and I'll let you know if you're right or not. So now, who are some of the influential architects of this style? So I'm just telling you how to study each style. Okay, first understand the features of that style, understand the time period. Then after that, study which are the important architects, influential architects who have worked for this particular style. So some notable architects important to the history and development of the modernist movement include Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, also known as Mies commonly. Then Le Corbusier. Le Corbusier is of course known by all of us. Le Corbusier has done some exemplary work around the world. He was a Swiss-born French architect, but later on in the later years of his life, he also came to India. He has done some exemplary, noteworthy work in India. He has planned the entire modern city of Chandigarh. Apart from that, he has designed some very important and famous buildings in Chandigarh. For example, the Capitol Complex group of buildings. Then many other important governmental, non-governmental buildings in and around Chandigarh. Then Walter Gropius. Walter Gropius is actually one of the most important names from the Bauhaus movement. He was the one who designed the Bauhaus School of Architecture as well, and he was one of the biggest proponents of this particular movement. Then the next one was Eric Mendelsohn, Frank Lloyd Wright. Frank Lloyd Wright, also famously known as F.L. Wright, is the designer of the Falling Waters. Falling Waters is one of the most famous buildings of almost all students of architecture. Of course, it is very beautiful, it is very intriguing. You can find the image of Falling Waters on your screen here on the right side. I hope you are able to see my cursor. On the right side, the second image is that of Falling Waters designed by F.L. Wright. Another famous building of modern style designed by F.L. Wright is the Guggenheim Museum. Then Louis Sullivan, Gerrit Rietveld, Bruno Todt, Arne Jacobsen, Oscar Niemeyer, Alvar Aalto. These are some of the notable names. There are so many more, so many other architects who have worked for the modern style of architecture. Now, after this, we will try to understand that within this major style, some other smaller styles are also incorporated. So, usually these are huge periods that we are talking about. It was for a span of more than 100 years. If a style is going on for 100, 200 years, of course, there will be a lot of variation and there will be a lot of experimentation that either individual architects or group of architects are doing. There can be variation from country to country that for example, if modernism started from a particular part of Europe, as it spread around the continent itself, many new variations would have come up. So some smaller styles come up like that because of these variations and experimentation. So just like there was the Bauhaus school, there was also the Chicago school. The difference is that Bauhaus school was from Germany, the Chicago school was from the US. It was a US based movement. Chicago School is also known as the Prairie School of Thought. And they also laid down their own principles, rules, standards, and the buildings that were made following these standards were known to be a part of the Chicago school style. Then there was Expressionism. I already mentioned it in the previous slide. There was New Objectivity. Then there was the International style. Of course, something which was becoming popular worldwide. It was not just a part of a particular nation. Then there was functionalism. Functionalism meant an approach which focused on functions, the practicality, the task that was supposed to do in a building and not the form. Then there was constructivism, there was essentialism, brutalism, metabolism, and high-tech style. So these were some smaller styles which are a part of modern style. After modernism came some other styles like postmodernism. Postmodernism was the time when we had understood these new materials that we got from industrial revolution very nicely. We had experimented with them, we knew how to use them in our buildings, and now we were again experimenting with design and shape and structure of the building. Then there was regionalism. Regionalism was an aftermath of modernism because when modernism spread around the whole globe, regionalism rose because of the regional variations. Then there was deconstructivism. There was eco-architecture, which was inspired from eco-friendly traits and eco-friendly approach. Then there was expressive rationalism and contextualism. How do you differentiate between these? Okay, before that, who were some of the influential architects of this period after modernism, the famous architects? They were Aldo Rossi, Barbara Breelike, Ricardo Riefel, John Berge, Terry Farrell, Michael Graves, Helmut John, Philip Johnson, Frank Gehry. Again, some very famous names. Please study about the projects that they have done. Now, I was saying, how do you differentiate between modernism and, say, postmodernism? So, I've just given a very small example about the basic features which can help you in differentiating. So, in modernism, we see the use of flat roofs a lot in all structures, be it residential buildings, be it the high-rise buildings, be it the bigger structures. So, you will see flat roof. Whereas in postmodernism, again, because we have now learned to use these materials nicely, we're experimenting with form again. So you can see gable roof in postmodernism. In modernism, because there was so much experimentation going on, people were not experimenting a lot with, style and design and color. So no colors were used in modernism mostly. The image that you can see on the left side is actually Notre Dame du Hot, a famous villa that was designed by Le Corbusier. And on the right side, you can see another example of postmodernism where you see the colors have come back now. Basic experimentation is over with the materials and construction style. So we are bringing more life to the building again. So in this way, you can differentiate between these styles. So as I already told you, the online crash batch is going on right now. What I just taught you was just a hint of what so much more that we discuss in our classes. The classes can be as long as 1.5 to 2 hours. In our online classes, we discuss about these topics like architectural style and famous architects and UNESCO World Heritage Sites, awards in architecture, and so much more, which are a part of the syllabus of JEE and NATA. And we discuss these topics in a great detail with questions which have come in the previous years. So if you want to be a part of our online crash batch, please contact us on this number and be a part of it. So now I will show you some examples, some questions which have come up in the previous years in JEE paper 2 especially, which are related to architectural styles. So this is the first question on your screen. Now I'm expecting that you will write the answer in the chat, in the comment section. Okay. The question reads, which architecture was known for its beauty and fine proportions? The options are Greek, Indian, Chinese, and Japanese. There is no particular style of architecture known as Indian style of architecture, but we know that there was a Greek kingdom and Greek style of architecture. And then in the ancient Chinese and Japanese civilization, there was ancient Chinese and Japanese architecture as well, which was all about, these temples, pagodas, which were Buddhist places of worship. So the right answer is A, Greek architecture. Greek architecture was all about beauty and fine proportions, and Roman architecture, which came after that, also took inspiration from Greek. I'm going to the next question. Again, we'll be expecting answers in the comment section. I'm looking to what you are commenting here. So please try to guess, or, if you know the right answer, please try to write that in the comment section. The next question, again, this came in JEE paper 2 years ago. The chair named the Pantone chair, which was designed by Werner Pantone, was made with a new material in the year 1967. What was this material? Now I've included this particular question because it is related to the modern style. This was happening when the modern style and was about to end and postmodern style was coming. So this was that era. Now you have to tell me what was the material that was used in this particular chair which made it so remarkable and revolutionary. The options are glass, nylon, plastic, and stainless steel. I'll give you a moment to comment. Yes, you are right. The answer is C, plastic. The Pantone chair, which was named after its designer Werner Pantone, was made with plastic, which brought a revolution in the field of furniture design. Now, this question is extremely interesting, okay? Which of the following is not an example of day style? Now, what is day style? You must be confused. What is this? It was a particular style in furniture design, in art and architecture. Now, when you look at these images, you will notice that 3 of them look same and 1 looks different. You have 4 options, A, B, C, and D. Out of these 4, A, C, and D look a bit similar because of the colors that are used in this. You will see the 3 primary colors that are red, blue, and yellow. Apart from that, you will see some basic use of black and white. So A, C, and D are similar, which makes the B which makes B the odd one out. So the correct answer will be B. Since all three are similar, we can easily deduce that B is not an example of day style. But let me tell you what this day style is. It is actually a Dutch word for the style, also known as neoplasticism. It was a Dutch movement, Dutch art movement founded in 1917 in Leiden. Their style consisted of artists and architects. In a more narrow sense, the term day style is used to refer to a body of work from 1917 to 1931, founded in Netherlands. Proponents of day style advocated pure abstraction and universality by reduction to the essentials of form and color. They simplified visual compositions to vertical and horizontal, using only black, white, and the three primary colors, which are red, blue, and yellow. So, if you are studying about colors, color theory, and color psychology, you already know by now that the three primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. Okay, this will be the last question that we will be discussing in this live. Which of the following is not an example of pop art? Look at the four images carefully. Again, you will find that A, C, and D are a bit similar. How can we say that? Because they have some characters, some main feature, and most of it is repeating. You have four options A, B, C, and D. And the correct answer for this one will be B. B, which is an image of a few candies lying on a table on a surface. B is not an example of pop art. Now, what is pop art? Pop art is another style in art and architecture. I mentioned pop art when I was showing you that list as well, the long list with the different names. Let me tell you what pop art is. Pop art is an art movement that emerged in the United Kingdom and the United States during the mid to late 1950s. The movement presented a challenge to traditions of fine art by including imagery from popular or mass culture. So, whatever was there in the pop culture, that was reflected in pop art, such as advertising, comic books, and mundane mass produced objects. So, advertising and marketing was being made more interactive and more fun by the use of pop art, like you can see an example on your screen. So with this, we come to the end of this live session. I hope that this was very informative for you. I hope that you got to learn something new. As I already told you, this is a very vast and very large topic, architectural styles, and we can of course not contain it in such a short session. But if you want to learn more about this topic and many other topics which are related to JEE Paper 2 and NATA, which are the competitive exams for admissions in architecture, that is B.Arch, Bachelor of Architecture. You can join our online crash batches that are ongoing at the moment. A new batch is going to start very soon. So please contact on this number that is given on your screen. We will also put this number in the comment section so that you can reach out to us, contact my team at THiNC, and join our online crash batch so that you can learn more about architecture entrance. With this, I am Architect Nishtha Joshi, Faculty of Architectural Awareness at THiNC Institute of Design and Conservation Architect, signing off. I hope this was a nice session for you all. If you have any doubts or queries, you can also write that in the comment section. Me or someone from my team will reach out and clear your doubts. Thank you.